Here with Concordia head golf coach Brett Muller to preview the 2025-26 season that is almost here. You'll get started officially the first week of classes at Concordia. Going into year 15, I'm sure it feels like it's gone fast, but what do you remember about the day you accepted this job, and maybe how has it lived up to what you were hoping for out of a coaching career?
Yeah, a lot has changed since I started 15 years ago. We were out at Seward Country Club at the beginning, and I was the third head coach in 4 years, so we had a lot of turnover just with the coaching staff before I took the job, and I've transitioned to Highlands Golf Courses. Really gave us the opportunity to recruit some more competitive players, and and increase our practice facilities as well. So it's definitely changed a lot in 15 years.
Let's talk a little bit about the format of what you're doing prior to the start of classes. How crucial is this time, and how much golf are you trying to get in before your first tournaments?
Yeah, so we had the opportunity to bring the teams in about a week and a half before classes started, and we have a good mix of qualifying and practice time as well, and also some team bonding, doing some activities outside of golf. For example, the team's playing pickleball today as a team, and just trying to get as many competitive rounds as we can. So both teams will have 5 18-hole days of qualifying, so we'll play 90 holes leading up to our first tournament, and then based on where the players are coming out of qualifying, that's the position they'll play at the first tournament.
So who's the best pickleball player then on the team?
Well, we'll find out tonight. So
Okay.
I think you can ask a number of them, and they all think they're the best. So we'll prove it on the court tonight.
Last time competing was the conference championships for both teams last season. Just starting with the women, I know there were some encouraging things that happened at the conference championships. How do you kind of build off that, and how does that maybe give some of them some confidence heading into this year?
Yeah, to wrap up our season last spring, our women performed probably the best they have all year. So that was great to see for them. All their hard work had definitely paid off for them, and they improved a lot throughout the year. It was kind of a disappointing year, an up and down year at times for the women's team, but played pretty well at the conference championship. So that was a nice reward for them.
Just sticking with the women, Emery Custer certainly kind of at the top of the list of returners. She made a run at winning a GPAC title as a junior last year. What do you kind of enjoy most about having her as a member of the program, and what do you expect from her as a senior?
Yeah, Emery had a great GPAC championship last year. She's a very competitive person. She came from a very successful high school program where she won multiple state championships as a team. She does a great job of being one of our leaders on the team, both with her performance and also her leadership. Always trying to push the girls to get the most out of their rounds and do anything she can to help the women's team as well.
Also bring back some others that were regulars in the varsity lineup, like Maddie Lewis, Savannah McFalls, Audra Poffenbarger. What can you say about how they're coming along and how they'll kind of factor into the team's success?
Yeah, both Maddie and Savannah have done very well in qualifying. Definitely expect those three or those two with Emery to be towards the top of our lineup. We'll kind of see what shakes out here with the final 2 days of qualifying.
Mm-hmm. Men's side, I know it didn't end how people hoped at conference championships. Now you get to kind of wipe the slate clean. What are some lessons that you take away from last season and try to build on?
Yeah, last year, we graduated a couple guys, Justin Wiebert and Jake Hagebaumer, that spent the majority of their 4-year career in our top 5. Just from an experience standpoint with those guys, we'll be leaning on some newer guys. We have 7 freshmen in this year's recruiting class, and a lot of new players. So over half our roster is new coming guys that were not with us a year ago. So just kind of getting them into the mix as well, and along with some pretty talented returners as well.
Wanted to mention Jake Richmond going into his senior year had a really good spring for you. How was he able to kind of take his game to another level, and how does he build on that as a senior?
Yeah, so Jake had a great spring for us last year. His previous 2 springs as a freshman and sophomore, I think he'll admit were pretty disappointing for him. But he had a great spring. He had a good summer. He's looking pretty good so far in qualifying. If we could get him to work on his putting a little bit more and make some good putts, we could see some numbers in the red for him.
How much are I know you have a pretty good number of new golfers on both sides. How are they kind of pushing for spots and making it competitive right now?
Yep, so through 3 rounds, the scoring is very tight. Jake has kind of separated himself right now by a few shots at the top of our lineup, but 2 through 8, 2 through 9 is all within a few shots of each other.
How about women's side too? With what's the potential like for maybe some newcomers to jump into the lineup too?
Yeah, we had a pretty good day of qualifying today. Had multiple girls shoot, returners and newcomers, their best scores in qualifying or competition today. So I definitely look for them to take a step forward as well.
I think you have something like 4 or 5 tournaments in the fall semester for both teams to kind of hopefully lay the groundwork for success. But what are you kind of emphasizing that you want to accomplish this fall before you get into kind of the spring championship season?
Yep. The last few years on both teams, we've been pretty solid at the top. We kind of knew who our top 2 or 3 would be. Just adding depth. Getting a 3rd and 4th score in there consistently will really help our team score.
All right. Get a SCO Dogs.
SCO Dogs.